Hello, beautiful Librans, and welcome to March 2021. Coming at you today, from a place of such deep sensitivity. And March is always a powerful month. It's one of my favorite months because it's kind of a gateway month. It's a doorway month. We go from Pisces season, which is all about the hidden, the spiritual, the unseen order of things, our dreams, when we submerge into the greater ocean of existence, and coming out into Aries season on the equinox, March 20th, into a fire sign ruled by action and embodiment, and being a part of this life and how we move through it. And the equinox itself for me is a time of balancing and harmonizing, taking in our growth even since the solstice, and how we have changed and morphed. So this is just a really powerful month of transformation, transmutation, self-understanding, and personal rebirth. And everybody's going to experience that slightly differently. A couple big themes here though. All the planets are direct this March. So it's a very crisp, clear energy where we've been working with a lot of fog and mystery and adjustment over the last 6 months with different retrogrades and big planetary shifts that had us learning very quickly. March is one of the first months I feel like we can get our feet underneath us and kind of understand where we're going next, which makes that equinox harmonizing, balancing, incorporating energy so much stronger. Now for Librans, this is going to be a really honest month. We have obviously the sun moving through Pisces until the 20th when it moves into Aries. We also have Venus moving through Pisces and into Aries around the same time. We have a new moon in Pisces as well. And all this Pisces energy is going to have a lot to do with your daily routines and habits. How are you honoring your soul, your purpose here, your sense of who you are beyond being a human while being a human, if that makes sense. So Pisces season is going to get really honest with you when it comes to how you are reflecting your honor for your soul or not when it comes to very basic things we take for granted, day-to-day routines and rituals. Anything from how we make our tea to how we artistically express and everything in between, right? What makes up a day? What makes up a life? What makes up when you wake up in the morning and when you go to sleep at night? What is that? So Pisces season is going to get really honest with you about that. And then of course, Aries season is your mirror season. And I'm going to start shuffling here. So as the sun and Venus move into Aries, we also move toward your full moon on March 28th of the year, the full moon, the Libra full moon. But this is a time, as all this energy is in your opposing sign, for you to look very honestly at yourself. And this can go, you can learn a lot from that, right? This is a great time to just assess the last 6 months since Libra season, how you've changed, how you've grown, how you've shifted, what that's felt like. So this can feel like giving yourself, honoring what it is that you have gained, understood, learned, mastered. Tower. This card just like, I think every month pretty much at least one group gets the Tower. It's a very popular energy right now, and that's partially because we have Saturn in Aquarius, we have Uranus in Taurus, and just the way that these energies are working, they're very electrical, and they're asking us to not do things by rote, right? Not do things just the way that they've been done over and over and over again, just because that's how we do that. So the Tower comes up often because of that, as a collective message. So one part of this, I think, very honest season for Libra is going to be about temperance. It's a big journey right there from Tower to Temperance. Is going to be about honoring all that growth. And the other part of it is going to be getting honest with what is time to grow into, what is time to grow out of, what is time to release. For all the cardinal signs, this Aries season is going to be a really important time for getting honest about where you're wanting to, Five of Swords, where you're wanting to maybe step back from dynamics, projects, identities that just don't fit you anymore. Doesn't always have to be, you know, backhanded, spooky stuff. And the Devil. Okay. Okay, Libra, like we're doing the major arcana work here today. That is for sure. So this is big energy. And once again, the first message that came up for me as soon as I sat down with your energy was honesty, like brutal honesty. And I was like, okay, Libra's in for that. And I'm thinking now as I sit here, before I get into the cards, how we've had some pretty tough readings this last year for Libra. Like, I'll be honest, like, I know a lot of you have even sent me a message or an email saying like, I can't keep doing this, right? There's been like a lot of personal growth for the Libran clan the last year. In the readings, at least, right? And when I look at a month like March, that has so much direct energy, that has so much balancing energy, that has so much about that transmutational pull of moving through Pisces season back into embodiment. What I think about is breaking cycles, right? Breaking the crust. So maybe you've been doing a lot of underground work, behind the scenes spiritual work. This month is about kind of the intensity of breaking through the soil. We always want to break through the soil. We're always like anxious for that time. You know, whenever you're doing shadow work or you're going through a really hard time of like grief or change and you're just feeling tired and like foggy and all of those things, you so want to just be out in the sunshine, living that big, bold life again. But one thing I think we forget is that it's actually a little shocking to the system to adjust to being out in the light again and playing and moving through energy, right? Because then we have to reacquaint ourselves with that dynamic. And I'm seeing that here in these cards. Because for me, the Tower is about breaking through the crust of the earth. So I just imagine you all as little seeds that first were just like dormant, sleeping under the ground, resting, waiting for that right time when the temperature and the acidity of the soil or whatever has gotten just right. And then cracks open is that little sprig. And that sprig cracks through the recently thawed earth and breaks into the surface. The Tower has a kind of similar functionality, which is to break us out of the past cycle, to break us out of where we've kind of been holding ourselves or where we've been doing our work. The Tower can obviously come with surprise events, right? And things shifting quickly or suddenly. And the Tower can obviously bring about new understanding or new information. But it's also about not just doing things by rote, like I said. So this is a big energetic shift, and I think that's why it's got some of this dynamic energy of like breaking open, because you may have gotten a little comfortable in the darkness, in the grief, in the slowness. You know, it's a comfortable space in some ways, and it can become its own version of comfort. And so it can feel a little jarring to come up and out. But here's the thing, part of the reading of Tower energy always is context. The Tower could come out with a whole bunch of other cards that are very dramatic, or they can come out with a card like Temperance that is about balance, harmony, not too hot, not too cold, finding the alchemical perfect temperature, the perfect bath temperature for your life. So while this energy is about cracking through the surface of the soil and starting some new chapters, Temperance is about finding the right ingredients so that you feel safe in opening yourself back up, so that you feel safe in the adventure ahead of you, and so that you can sustainably move forward from this time of underground work. So Temperance is here and once again, equinox season is about rebalancing, especially for Librans. As the equinox, it's opposing you. All that Aries energy is helping you to understand what you need to use that Temperance energy for. There are a lot of different things getting thrown at you. So what you're going to need to do is concoct the new version of your daily rituals, habits, routines, and how you connect to others. Now, here's the interesting thing. I'm noticing a theme in March has a lot to do with cord cutting, energetic kind of cord cutting. And it doesn't always have to be romantic. It might be romantic. A lot of us get connected to people that don't serve us well at some point in our lives, right? Whether that can be in work, that can be in friendship, that can be in relationship, that can be in just your relationship to yourself and who you think you need to be. But I am noticing here with this Five of Swords and the Devil that these are energies of kind of entrapment and it's a little sneaky. And it's also, when the Devil shows up, yes, this is about hard work and consistency and strength of character, but the Devil is also about doing things that, like doing the same thing over and over again, right? Like getting stuck in patterns, getting stuck in ways of doing things. And Five of Swords is a lot of times about feeling like we can't trust ourselves and we can't trust people around us. So we're looking over our shoulders. We're feeling a little wary of saying yes to things or agreeing with somebody or just feeling relaxed. Now, what I see about this is I see this beautiful Temperance card, right? You're balancing out, you're calibrating, you're broken out into the sunshine. You're noticing you've expanded, you've changed shape. And there's a part of you that's very worried about that. What if you're not standing guard on yourself, on your situation, on what's next? What if you're not on edge all the time? Won't somebody come and rip the rug out from under you? Won't you get in trouble? Won't you be called out as an imposter for trying to live this new way? Be who you are now? Won't something happen where it'll just yank you back under the surface of the earth and keep you held, right? And this is a very understandable energetic ripple that I think happens when we shift into a new cycle, when we go from doing that behind the scenes work to active embodiment, when we go from maybe thinking we're this one person and then realizing over the course of this last year or this last 6 months even that we're now wanting and desiring different things and it looks different and it feels different and who am I now? I think it's very natural to have the part of yourself that wants to keep control on things, that wants to keep things safe, that wants to keep things cautious, is going to want to speak up. Now, let me pull the final card of our reading today from my Cosmic Tarot and see how this all kind of comes together. Because for me, what I'm seeing is you're just a little nervous. There's a little nervousness for the Librans about letting yourself move forward. You're being invited to, and you're going to be noticing there's a lot of invitations around. Prince of Wands. I love it. In this deck, Prince of Wands is associated clearly with Leo, the lion, the sun, playfulness, adventure, willingness to try new things, not being so serious about life. And that's an interesting message to come out in the context of all those much heavier hitting cards, right? And those cards in themselves aren't negative. They do ask for brutal honesty. But I think the temptation would be to take that very seriously. Get really heavy about March and say, well, March is asking me to be a sprig popping out of the earth and trusting myself a little bit more. But the Prince of Wands is a reminder that it's all about playfulness. It's all about letting yourself find joy again as who you are today, not who you've been in the past, not who you think you needed to be, not based on what you think have to be your commitments in this lifetime, and there's no other way things can be, but who you are now. And like I said, the Prince of Wands just kind of tries things, sees what happens, is very playful, lighthearted, and the more you can take the time to access that energetic space every day, the better. Right? I just think, one of the things, I just want to share this quickly as we close out this reading. One of the things I've really gotten into in the last 6 months or so, I'd say, is mini practices. You know, a lot of times people in my community are talking about, you know, kind of taking, you know, long chunks of time out to do like a long meditation, a long visualization, a long journaling practice. But I've really gotten into doing very short practices, sometimes just a minute a day or a minute throughout the day, where I just take a moment to access something like a joyful, playful energy. And to just take the time to remember it and do that multiple times throughout the day, maybe once every hour the whole day, rather than like sitting down, okay, it's the end of the day, it's 6 o'clock, okay, I guess now I'll force myself to tap into playfulness. What I'm seeing here is the more you can just do those little mini tap-ins, the more you're going to find that you're using this energy that's about shaking things up, doing things differently, finding a new calibration, finding new set points for what works for you, finding better self-trust, better honesty with what it is you actually need. What do you actually want to be doing? Do you really want to be saying yes to those things? Or are you just saying that because you want to keep the peace? Because if you are, you're not trusting yourself. You don't want those little mini betrayals all the time, where you say yes, but you really don't mean it and it feels bad. You know, like I just had that this week. I've been really burnt out. I'll be honest, this last year has kicked my butt on a personal level hugely, and the last month has been brutal. And I was really exhausted, and my friend and I were scheduled for a walk, and I wanted to force myself to just say yes and go. I was like, you know, I am just gonna go on this walk because she's one of my best friends. We're really close. I should be able to handle this. Like, I know it's gonna be fine, but I knew that if I said yes, I was being dishonest with how I really felt, because I just was exhausted that afternoon. I had worked all day and I just didn't actually have that energy to give. So I was just honest. And you know what? That made me feel really safe in myself. And it's those little moments, it's not always these big momentous moments that dictate how safe we feel with ourselves. So just kind of keep that in mind and remember to play. Y'all, I wish you a really beautiful March where you feel safe with yourself. You feel safe enough to play, explore, become, ask questions, get answers, be honest in a really kind, loving way, and feel that clarity of energy that I see for March. And I hope that you trust that you're allowed to shift and morph, and remember to play as much as possible. I am sending you all my love. You can find me on Patreon. I would love to see you there. Thank you to those of you who are with me already. We have a beautiful little community. I do a ton of activations, conversations, discussions. It's a really great place to connect. So I'll leave the link for that below. You can also find me on Instagram and on my website. So all of that info is in the description box. And you can find PinkLune's gorgeous jewelry on her Etsy shop as well. I love her work and she does such beautiful work. Have a gorgeous Pisces and Aries season and equinox, and I will talk to you in April. And I'm just sending you